Conversations. I'm your host, KK Konishiro. Each new school year brings a new and talented group of educators and administrators to the Fremont Unified School District. For this new 2015-16 year, FUSD welcomes 6 new principals, and they are already making their mark among students, families, and their community. Joining us to talk about their new roles with the district are 3 of those new principals. We have Niles Elementary School Principal Diana Brumbaugh, Park Elementary Principal Johanna Cho, and Forest Park Elementary Principal Sarah Clark. And of course, my favorite co-host, Dr. Jim Norris. Thank you so much for being here. Now, this is a brand new role for all 3 of you, right?
Yes.
Okay. How's it going? Because you've been with it as a new principal for a few weeks, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I think it's been great. It's I'm really enjoying the role of principal. I'm having a great time. I switched age levels, so I'm just having a wonderful time working with elementary school children.
What were you before?
I worked at the high school level.
High school, okay.
So it's been a great deal of fun learning about elementary schools and little
Now,
older kids.
is it safe to assume you were a teacher before?
No.
Or were you an admin before?
I was an assistant principal at Mission San Jose High
Okay.
School, and that preceded that with a science teacher at Washington High School.
Okay. Now, were you also an assisted principal or a teacher?
I was the assistant principal at Parkmont last year.
Same with you were assistant?
Yes, I was the assistant principal at Forest
Okay.
Park for 2 years.
Okay, because I often wonder if you promoted a teacher into an admin role, that's got to be a different mindset there, that it has to change, right?
Well, and you're exactly right. That's why we're so fortunate that we have some assistant principal positions, because they really are training ground. It really is an opportunity to begin to get used to that position of being a principal.
Wow, this is amazing. So, is it living up to everything you thought it would?
It's a lot of fun,
Okay.
and every day is a new day. I feel like you never know what's going to happen. I know that the kids are going to be there, and I know my teachers are going to be there, and I know my parents are going to be there, but whatever happens in between the bells, it's hard to tell. But I am enjoying it, so.
Great, great.
I would agree. I think it's been a great adventure. It's an interesting challenge every day. It's similar to what I was doing as an assistant principal, but it's different because now I'm the person who is taking the lead. I'm not the supporting role. I'm the person taking the lead. I'm the one they all come to for answers or to for suggestions. So it's been a really fun adventure. I like the challenge of going to work every day, and just like Johanna said, you never exactly know what's going to happen.
Right.
But having the confidence that you have a great team behind you supporting you.
Now, you all started out as teachers, right?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
and what grade level were you teaching?
I primarily taught 4th, 5th, and 6th grade.
4th, 5th, and 6th. Okay, and then you started?
I taught first. Most of my time was done in 3rd.
Okay.
I ended my teaching at 6th grade.
Okay. Did you ever think when you started college and going through your teaching credential courses and all of this that you were going to end up as principal? Well, I mean, was this just a stroke of luck that this happened? I mean, did you plan on this? Because I know when I spoke to you, you never planned on being a superintendent.
Well, I think that's the interesting thing about these roles, and really the way this particular group of principals have really grown in the profession, because all of them started as excellent teachers.
Right.
And that's probably the foundational skill you have to be a good administrator.
right.
And then somebody, I bet you they can all tell us the story. Somebody comes along in your career and I see such wonderful leadership skills in you. Why don't you think about doing, and it really is kind of an evolving process, right? I don't think anybody really sets out to say,
I'm going to be principal.
I want to be the principal, because when you begin teaching, oh my goodness, that is the toughest job there is, and yet we're fortunate that we have so many good
Right.
people who step up to it.
Absolutely.
And I would add that Fremont Unified has done an excellent job at training teachers within the district and promoting teachers within the district to administrative positions too. I wouldn't be where I am now at the current position if I hadn't gone through through human resources and the instructional departments pairing us with programs to get our administrative credentials and kind of like promoting from within. It's been really wonderful, and being in cohorts with people I taught with, and then because we all kind of started there and a lot of the people I got my administrative credential with are all in leadership positions, and so it's really been fun to go
good.
through that. Yeah.
And Principal Brumbaugh is correct. We really have tried to focus on building the talent we have within, because our school district is unique. There's no other school district that has the high expectations, the unique and diverse culture. And if you've grown up in this system, you really have a leg up on being a successful principal. So you're right. We've really have for many years tried to focus on let's look internally. That doesn't say we're closed system and we never hire anybody from the outside.
Right.
But I
right.
think we really know we have so many talented people here.
Yes. Now, Diana, you grew up in Fremont, right?
I did.
And you've seen a lot of changes.
Yeah, of course, demographically, the changes have taken place. So I think what's really exciting in Fremont Unified right now is that you have, the historical piece. You have the families who have been in schools for generations and generations, and I'm now working with the children of some of my former students. But in addition to that, we have people coming into the community, and so seeing students out on the playground from different cultures and them playing together and learning from each other is really wonderful as well.
Now, even though you're all from different schools, you all have your own little communities. Can you talk a little bit more about that? Because I think our audience, it's all Fremont, it's all one thing. They don't understand that you all have your own climate, your own culture, your own community going on. Can you describe to our viewers what each of your communities are all about?
So Forest Park it's a lovely community for people to live in. If you drive by my school in the evenings during the summer, you'll find that many people are playing on the basketball courts and on the grassy field. It's a community hub.
Yeah.
And we have many of our families, probably 90% of our student body are either Indian or Chinese. So we have a very high percentage of Asian families at our school, very professional families, very committed to education. Our families are very interested in their students being successful in school.
Yeah.
And we have just children who are involved in many different activities outside of school, all kinds of sports and music, and it's a very lovely community that has many families living in it.
That's great. How's yours?
Well, Niles is a wonderful community. It's kind of like we call it Mayberry sometimes.
Yes, 1950s.
It's very much a small town within a bigger city, and so it's a very tight-knit community. The community completely cares about itself and has a lot of wonderful activities, super rich history, as I said, and the school is really one of those central components too. Parents walking their kids, and it's social hour in the morning, and they all know each other, and so it's a really, really, really special place in Fremont and
I agree.
the school within the community. Yeah.
Joanna?
Parkmont is, I often hear people saying, I've never knew your school was back here. And it's kind of tucked away in this quiet neighborhood, but it's very close to downtown Fremont.
Right.
Like Sarah, our families are highly, they're very academically focused, but they also appreciate kind of doing things as families and developing a well-rounded student. We have lots of parental involvement with our PTA. We put on tons of activities at school that are not just academic driven. We do fitness nights and reading nights and science nights and math nights, and we're trying to do lots of different things to really develop a well-rounded student, a well-rounded, well-balanced child.
Great. Now, are all your campuses enclosed? Because you had mentioned that your families go there to play basketball or they use the courts for other games. Are they fenced in, or do you have to unlock them, lock them up at night, or how does this work?
Our campus at Forest Park is very open. It's adjacent to the city park.
Okay.
So there's a sidewalk that runs between the park and the edge of the blacktop, and the sidewalk itself is public property. So we're a very open campus. There are some fences on the side where people enter from the crosswalks, and we have 2 enclosed courtyards for internal in addition to our internal hallways at our site, but we're a very open campus.
Yeah, because I always often wondered if mom and the kids want to go for a walk after dinner. That's a safe place to do that.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Okay.
And I think you'll see that same thing at most of our schools
Yeah.
throughout Fremont. We've really tried not to have them be
Fenced in.
enclosed compounds to say this, and that's how you really create that culture. I think we
Right.
heard in common at all of the schools, those schools are centers of the community. Forest Park is a little unique in that
Almost a country in itself.
almost like you would see in many places in Europe, that everybody in the neighborhood at night congregates at that school. But the other schools also have that sense. And so we've really discouraged using fences as barriers to keep folks out.
Right.
We know it's not an effective tool for safety. I mean, so we've tried to discourage having fences, but I think the common thing that we heard is these schools all are centers of community life. They're a place where people go, where folks can go and walk, where it's safe,
Right.
and it's a welcoming place. Come play on the playground after school or in the evening or on the weekend. We don't get the credit for it, but
Right.
we really do run 42 city parks.
Yes, exactly.
In
exactly.
addition to schools.
Now, I want to ask a question. When they were applying for a principal position, do you get to choose what school you want to be the principal of, or how does this work?
No.
Okay.
If you want to be the principal of a school in Fremont, we welcome your application.
Okay.
I don't think it's particularly healthy to say, oh, I just want to be the principal of Niles. We have an open application process, and then you're right, somebody may be, Principal Cho is the perfect principal for Parkmont, and Principal Brumbaugh is the perfect principal for Niles, and Principal Clark is the perfect principal for Forest Park, but you have to apply to be a principal anywhere in the district, because we want folks who want to serve this community any place.
So, as an assistant principal, they could have been at any school
We
before
have
they were promoted.
We have only 5 assistant principal positions at our largest elementary
Wow.
schools.
Wow.
We have more assistant principals at our secondary schools, but at the elementary level, it's only at schools that have over about 950 students.
Okay. So, when you're applying for a principal, it's another job interview then, right?
Yes. Yes.
Wow.
And we have a community selection panel.
Oh, nice.
That includes parents, teachers from the school,
I like that.
and the classified staff, the secretaries or custodians. We have really a community panel that interviews many candidates, and they come up with a short list of, here are the ones that are good fits for our school. And then I'll do a final interview with a couple of our board members and make a recommendation to the board.
Okay.
It's a tough job to get, and we're very selective. We only take the very
You guys
best.
got the Oscars.
We did.
I have to tell you, it was very nerve-wracking waiting for, once I've turned my application in, waiting to find out when my initial interview would be, when my second interview would be, when I would have my
Wow.
conference with Jim, and when it would be announced. It was nerve-wracking because I really wanted to become the principal at Forest Park, but the school was making the best decision for the school, and it wasn't my decision to make. So it was really nerve-wracking,
So-
and then incredibly exciting.
What was that length of time from when you applied? Was it like months? Is it weeks? Is it days? For someone who doesn't know,
For me, it was about 3 weeks
Okay.
from when the principal parator announced that she was going to take a principalship in Castro Valley, close to her
Okay.
home,
Okay.
that the position became open at Forest Park, because I would have stayed there as an assistant principal this year, but when the position became open, I was very interested in becoming the principal. So it was 3 very long weeks, but then a lot of happiness at the end.
oh, good. Is it the same for you? About 3
Sounds
weeks?
about right.
Yeah.
That sounds about right.
I think they tried, it just so happened there were some openings around the same time. So there were postings, and then we interviewed, and then we were announced. So
Nice.
it was long, but I felt like it did go fairly quickly. The nerves are the same, fast or slow.
Yeah.
It's still a nerve-wracking
I bet.
process.
I bet. Now, how are the teachers informed about this change? Is it through the news bulletin? Is it you call everybody, or how does this work?
So we publicly announced new principals and introduced them at a board meeting.
Okay.
And then we sent an announcement out following the board meeting to the staff, because
Okay.
technically the only authority to hire or fire anyone in the school district is the Board of Education.
Right.
And so I make a recommendation to the board, and once the board approves that recommendation, then it's publicly announced who the new
Okay.
principal will be. And every one of these principals had a big fan club sitting in that boardroom waiting to hear the announcement.
It's great.
Yeah.
So it was interesting because I found out at about noon on the day it was going to be announced at the evening board meeting, and my teachers were, of course, all asking me, and I said, they're announcing at the board meeting tonight. They, would really welcome anyone from Forest Park to come to welcome the new principal, and I really hope to see you there. So it was, you're not announcing it until it's been approved by the board. So, but it was really nice to have staff members there and celebrating with me, and I think that all of us really appreciate the people from our school who showed us support right from the beginning.
Yeah. Yeah, that's great. Now, I know the school year has just started, but if there are parents who have not had the opportunity to talk with you, meet with you, introduce themselves, can you give our viewing members, what's your philosophy when it comes to education? We'll start with you.
I am really emphasizing this year with my parents and students the growth mindset. So I really want parents and students to know that mistakes are okay. It's okay to make mistakes. That's how we learn. And really we want to recognize the process that we're going through in this learning journey that we're on. I don't want the kids to feel like they need to know everything when they walk in the door, or that they need to get 100% on their test to be successful. I want to really emphasize that, the end product doesn't have to be 100% or an A+ to show that you're learning. And
Where was she when I was growing up? That's incredible. I
so
love that.
we are really praising the process and really, just emphasizing that sometimes learning is hard, and that's okay.
Yeah.
And making mistakes is okay too. And that's really how we learn, is by learning from our mistakes. So
Right.
that's
What's your philosophy?
Well, I think all of us have a philosophy that we want to address the needs of every student and give every student access to curriculum and everything that they need to be successful. So that will, remain a focus. We have, in Fremont Unified, we have so many resources at this time, an incredible amount of resources. Our instructional department is really grown, and there's just so much support for us. So and our teachers are collaborating more than ever, and I think that's going to help us really address the needs of all of our students. So I'd say that's kind of a focus, yeah.
And Principal Clark?
I would say that education itself it's an adventure, it's a journey. It's not just preparation for getting a good job someday, but it provides us happiness and fulfillment on a daily basis. And that's what I want for my students, is I want them to have the satisfaction of trying things and maybe not succeeding, maybe failing, and maybe trying something different, but be able to take a risk, to be innovators, to embrace creativity and challenges, to grow resiliency at my site, so that we really foster that belief that we can bounce back. It's not failing, it's if we fail to get back up, that we learn from the things that happen in our lives that are challenges. And I think my biggest goal is for my students and my teachers and my community members on a daily basis to feel empowered by the education that we're experiencing every day, because whether we're sitting in a classroom or not as a student, life is an education in itself.
That's for sure. Now, how do you go about implementing your philosophy with your staff, with the students, and especially the parents?
Well, at Parkmont, last year we introduced a Caught Working Hard program. So we were moving away from more of the academic accolades and more of the effort and persistence and these resiliency kind of traits that students need to develop. And so we have monthly assemblies, and students are earning little tickets and prizes, and they earn these Caught Working Hard wristbands. And so it's coming home from the kids, and the parents are seeing it in newsletters. And so I feel like we are really just reinforcing this idea. And then I know as they move on to Centerville, Mr. Peterson is continuing that, so it's not just ending when they're
That's
when
good.
they leave elementary school, but hopefully it'll continue to go with them their whole career in
That's
Fremont
great.
schools.
And how are you at your school with implementing your philosophy and getting everyone on board?
Well, unlike the two other principals here, I'm new to my site,
Mm-hmm.
so part of this year is actually me learning from them quite a bit, and so
That's a
so,
good leader.
Great leader.
That's a good
So I really, and I'm just those few weeks into the school year, so I'm kind of in the learning phase. Certainly there's some implementation and kind of knowing what's been done, but I'm kind of in the learning phase right now. So, but there's some ideas coming up for
Okay,
sure.
good.
Yeah.
And at Forest Park, we're a very large school. We're known for that. We're known for being a very high achieving school, but we're so much more than that. So I've been working with my staff and with my parents and my PTA, and we're working with our students on community building activities, on activities that help us surface our values. So we
Nice.
did an activity with our 6th graders where they were each given 5 3x5 cards, and on each one they wrote a character quality about themselves that they value. And then the other children at their table read them aloud to them like you would flashcards. So they would read the child's name and then they would say is and read the attributes that the child had selected for themselves. And then we engaged in a team building
That'll
activity.
be with them all their lives.
We engaged in team building activity where they had 5 minutes to build the tallest structure they could using all of their team's cards. And we had done it previously with our staff. So really surfacing who are we as people, what do we value and care about,
Yeah.
and then what can we build together.
This is great. I could talk to you three forever, but we have to wrap up. I thank you so much for being here. Thank you, Mr.
Thank
Morris.
you.
And from everyone here at Community Conversations, we appreciate you watching, and we'll see you real soon. Thank you.